Hi friends, thank you for taking time out of your week to spend a little with me. I appreciate you. This week we are going to discuss the murder of Cristie Schoen and her husband TJ Codd, and how their deaths led to the eventual conclusion of the 22-year-old cold case of Zebb Quinn. I want to give a quick shout out to fellow viewer Carol for asking me to share this tragic case with you all. So as always, please join me as we remember Cristie Schoen Codd, TJ Codd, Skylar Codd, and Zebb Quinn. Cristie was born on September 3, 1976 in Madrid, Spain to her parents William and Elizabeth Schoen. Cristie's parents served in the military, which resulted in a lot of travel and cultural exposure as Cristie grew. A self-proclaimed latchkey kid, Cristie grew a love for cooking, which was heavily influenced by her father. Because her parents worked long hours, Cristie found herself preparing many of her own meals, which helped hone her skills. Although she would later fall into the culinary field, she majored in German and performing arts at LSU, where she graduated in 2000. She performed in a number of plays, worked as an actress and a stunt woman before deciding she preferred to work behind the scenes. She described herself as outgoing, adventurous, and athletic. Cristie loved being outdoors. She discovered her real passion in life was motivating and educating people about healthier eating habits. This led to the creation of her catering company, Classic Catering, in 2005. Her company served many big-budget films. She later renamed the company Tree Hugger Catering when she decided biodegradable products fit better for her brand and the goals she wanted to accomplish. Cristie's ultimate dream was to create a self-sustaining farm which would provide the meals for her farm-to-table cafe. In 2012, it was announced that Cristie was chosen to be a contestant on the Food Network show The Next Food Network Star. Like the title states, the show consisted of individuals with a culinary background competing to win their own cooking show. Contestants were faced with a variety of cooking challenges guided by some of the Food Network's biggest hosts at the time, such as Bobby Flay and Alton Brown. The contestants were placed into teams of 3 to 5 people, and each week the losing team would face off against each other until one member was eliminated. Cristie was chosen to appear on Season 8, where she was placed on Team Alton, and unfortunately was the first contestant let go from the show. Cristie felt her strong passion for cooking was misread as anger and may have contributed to her being kicked off so soon. Cristie didn't let her elimination stop her from pursuing her dreams, and she returned to providing nutritious meals to the cast and crew of Hollywood productions. It was during her work on the sets that she met Joseph Codd, who went by JT. JT worked as a grip man on several movies, and their paths crossed. JT supported Cristie's goals, and the two left California behind, moving to Leicester, North Carolina, seeking a quiet place to start a family. They purchased a 36-acre plot of land and started planning for the future. In September of 2014, the couple were married in their local community center, surrounded by friends and loved ones, a day many described as joyous and unforgettable. Together, Cristie and JT made the perfect couple. They were loving, kind, and many felt you couldn't have asked for two better people. Both were very talented and had a bright future ahead of them. In December 2014, the Codds discovered they were expecting their first child, a daughter they planned to name Skylar. By all accounts, life was going well for them. But on March 15, 2015, family members grew concerned when they couldn't get in contact with Cristie or JT. They didn't answer their phones, which was very uncommon, so Cristie's father asked a family friend, Cecilia, to stop by the house to check on them. Cecilia entered the home where there were no signs of the couple. Their vehicles were still parked outside, and she knew something was wrong. Inside, she discovered Cristie's dogs who were left unattended, which was odd since her dogs were her babies. If they planned to leave, she would have made plans for them. Since the Codds had no known travel plans, missing persons reports were filed and police were sent to the home. Both Cristie's and JT's parents explained to the sheriff that they hadn't heard from them in days. Police taped off the house in order to preserve the scene, believing the Codds could be victims of foul play. Phone records were pulled showing JT's phone had no outgoing calls after March 10th and Cristie's from March 11th. It was as if the couple disappeared into thin air, and police had nothing to go off of. But by some sheer of luck, a nearby neighbor came forward with some possible information pertaining to their disappearance. The residents stated during the evening hours of March 15th, they noticed a man acting suspiciously. He carried out a large garbage bag and placed it into the dumpster before leaving into the night. The man was identified as another neighbor who lived less than a mile from the Codds, Robert Jason Owens. Robert wasn't a stranger to the couple. Not only did he work as their contractor, but Cecilia, Cristie's father's friend, was his aunt by marriage. Robert described the Codds as being good friends. He even attended their wedding. Robert was brought in for questioning on March 16th, where initially he stated he had nothing to do with their disappearance. But while Robert was being questioned, investigators were able to retrieve the garbage bags he dumped. Inside of the garbage bags were items confirmed by family as belonging to Cristie. With this information in hand, Robert waived his rights and confessed to what happened that fateful day. According to Robert, on March 12th, he was at the Codds' home doing some work when his truck got stuck in a ditch outside of their house. So Cristie and JT came outside to help Robert get his truck out of the ditch. They stayed outside of the truck while Robert was at the wheel. Robert claimed he accidentally stepped on the accelerator and ran the couple over. Once he'd realized what he'd done, he backed up and ran them over again. Robert then took Cristie's body into her home and placed her in the bedroom so he could dispose of JT. He took JT back to his house where he dismembered him with an electric saw before placing his remains in a large plastic bag. He then went back to the Codds' house, moved Cristie to the bathtub, and did the same to her. He took Cristie's remains back to his house where he placed her and JT in a wooden stove on his property and burned them to hide the evidence. He returned back to the Codds' home where he proceeded to steal items to make it look like a robbery. He took the stolen goods to a pawn shop for quick money. After his confession, police executed a search warrant on his property where the Codds' remains were discovered in the stove. Robert was arrested that night and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, murder of an unborn child, and breaking and entering. When asked why he didn't just report the accident, Robert stated he was fearful that if he confessed, he would be implicated in another crime. Digging deeper into his past, police discovered the Codds weren't the only people Robert had been around who disappeared. Zebb Quinn was born on May 12, 1981, and had a bright future ahead of him. He was enrolled in the ROTC program at his high school and planned to join the Air Force right after graduation. He was warm and caring and always there whenever anyone needed him. Zebb worked at Walmart in his hometown of Asheville, North Carolina, where he met Robert Owens. On the night of January 2, 2000, Zebb clocked out at 9 p.m. and had plans to drive to Leicester with Robert to buy a new car. But Zebb never made it home that night. When Zebb didn't call home, his mother filed a missing persons report. He took no clothes, his contact lens solution, or extra money to indicate he'd planned to leave. Quickly, an investigation was underway. During the search for Zebb, investigators discovered he was last seen on a surveillance camera at a convenience store, where he purchased a soda. He was seen with an acquaintance, later identified as Robert Owens, at 9:15 p.m. before they both entered their respective vehicles. Zebb, a light blue Mazda Protege, and Robert, a Ford truck. Each left the parking lot one after the other. Robert was questioned about his friend, where he stated after leaving the gas station, Zebb flashed his headlights at him so he would pull over. Zebb told him he received a page and needed to make a quick phone call, so he drove off to find a payphone. When he returned about 10 minutes later in what Robert described as a frantic state, he informed him he was in a hurry and he needed to leave, canceling their plans. On his way out, Zebb accidentally rear-ended Robert's truck before leaving. This was the last time Robert claimed to see him. Oddly, Robert ended up in the hospital later that same night for an unrelated auto accident. There were no reports to confirm this auto accident actually happened. He suffered from a head injury and broken ribs. 2 days after Zebb's disappearance, Robert admitted to calling in sick for Zebb. After his conversation with the police, Robert quit cooperating with them, which landed him high on their suspect list. Other people interviewed included Misty Taylor, a girl Zebb had taken an interest in. Misty met Zebb at her family's restaurant weeks before his disappearance, and the two started a friendship. Misty had a boyfriend named Wesley Smith who allegedly was abusive towards her, and Zebb wanted to help her out of it. One of Zebb's friends claimed all he talked about was Misty. Apparently, when Wesley heard about Zebb's sudden interest in his girlfriend, he threatened him to stay away. Both denied having any involvement in his disappearance. Based on alibis, Misty and Wesley were cleared as suspects. Despite talking to several people, police were running out of leads. Then, 4 days later, Zebb's Mazda was discovered. His mother received a call from one of his coworkers stating his car was in a parking lot near Mission St. Joseph Hospital at a nearby barbecue restaurant. Zebb's car was abandoned with the headlights on. Inside, investigators discovered a black lab mixed puppy, a plastic hotel keycard, several drink bottles, and a jacket that didn't belong to Zebb. On the back of the windshield, scrawled in pink lipstick, were a pair of lips. The hotel keycard couldn't be traced, and the remaining evidence didn't yield anything. Witness statements from the area implied a woman was seen driving the car. A description was provided that oddly matched that of Misty Taylor, but it couldn't be confirmed. Phone records from the night he disappeared were retrieved, where they discovered the page Zebb received came from the home of his aunt. However, when the page was sent out, his aunt was not at her home. She was at the home of Tamra Taylor's, the mother of Misty Taylor, and both Misty and Wesley were present at the dinner. His aunt did state she had to file a police report due to her home being broken into that evening, but she indicated nothing was taken, but items were moved around her house. With nothing further to go on, Zebb was presumed to be dead, and his case went cold. Zebb's case wouldn't come up again until Robert's arrest in 2015. During the search of his property, investigators uncovered fabric, leather materials, and unknown hard fragments found buried under concrete. It seemed like odd things to try to hide, and they felt it could be connected to Zebb's case. An unknown white powder substance was also seized, and several plastic bags containing possible pulverized lime or powdered mortar mix were taken as well. The warrant also listed details from an interview of an unnamed relative who came forward with information about Robert. Per the relative, they stated on or after January 2000, Robert dug a pit on his property to burn items. After January 2000, he poured concrete over the area, claiming it was going to be a fish pond, but it was never made. According to reports, the items believed to be from Zebb were found in this area. On July 10, 2017, Robert was indicted for the first-degree murder of Zebb Quinn. For the Codds case, Robert appeared in court on April 27, 2017. During his hearing, the defense stated Robert was psychologically and mentally impaired on painkillers, which caused irrational judgment. They also stated he suffered from PTSD due to the stress of the Zebb Quinn case. After 2 hours, prosecution offered a plea deal. His charges would be reduced to 3 counts of second-degree murder. The robbery charge would be dropped, and the death penalty would be off the table if he pled guilty. Robert agreed to the terms and was given a sentence of 59.5 to 74 years without parole. After his hearing, Robert spoke to the victims' families stating, "I'm not a bad guy. I didn't mean to hurt them. They were my friends." With the Codds case handled, attention was turned to Zebb Quinn. In 2018, Robert confessed to investigators that he wasn't responsible for killing Zebb, but one of his family members were. The murderer, according to Robert, was his uncle, Walter Gene Owens. Per Robert, the night Zebb died, Walter was hired by Wesley to take care of him. Zebb was lured to the Pisgah National Forest where he was going to meet Misty, but when he arrived, it was Walter and Robert instead. Walter then murdered him with a .22 hunting rifle and dismembered his body before burning him, and Robert helped him cover it up. Robert explained if they went to the Bent Creek part of Pisgah National Forest, they would find the evidence of the murder, but it's unclear if anything was discovered. Walter died in 2017 of cardiac arrest. On July 25, 2002, Robert was given another plea deal in exchange for a guilty plea. He was given a lesser sentence of accessory after the fact to first-degree murder. Robert was sentenced to 12.5 to 13 years in prison to be served consecutively to his first sentence. Unfortunately for both cases, what happened may never fully be known. With both situations, Robert was the only witness. Robert is serving his sentence at the Madison County Jail in Marshall, North Carolina. Hi friends, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm interested in hearing your thoughts, so leave them below and we can chat about this case. If you found this to be informative, please consider giving the video a thumbs up to let YouTube know you want more from me. And lastly, if you're not subscribed yet, you should, because we would love to have you under the ash tree. I appreciate each and every one of you for continuing to send me kind words and support our channel here. You are all the best, and I hope you have a great week ahead of you. But for now, stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, friends! Oh, also, I forgot, Easter is coming up, so happy Easter if you celebrate. Bye for real this time.